It's only been a handful of games, but already the story of this year's tournament is being about comebacks. You think a team are down and out, they find a way to come back. The other day, it was Chennai who looked lost until a certain MS Dhoni came out. Today, we thought, well, there's no Lucknow, no way Lucknow can escape from this one. But they had one better. They had a Badhoni. Yeah, not Dhoni, but a Badhoni who rescued them. What a real baptism for this youngster Ayush Badoni from the Lucknow Super Giants, taking them to a total that's far more than respectable. And have a look at what they finished with: 158 for 6 in their 20 overs. Deepak Hooda, of course, he's been there, done that, 55 of 41. But look at Badoni, 54 of 41, and he walked in when they were in absolute strife. Krunal Pandya, a little cameo at the end, 21 of 13. The young man was extremely nervous. You can imagine that. In his post-innings interview, he said he couldn't sleep all night. And this was before he had faced a ball. He probably would have expected to come in with the team at 150 for 4. But he came in an absolutely disastrous situation and he rescued them. Shaun Pollock, Joy Bhattacharjya joined me on Cricbuzz Live. What a miracle it's been. Shaun Pollock, you already had the chant going. It used to be Dhoni, Dhoni, Dhoni. Now it is
Badoni, Badoni. But yeah, I mean, what effort that was. As a young guy, he held his nerve too. You know, he didn't play any rash shots up front. They had to absorb. We talked about it at the halfway show. And then to be able to counterpunch. And some of those counterpunches were against class bowlers. I mean, he took on Rashid Khan a couple of times. So yeah, fantastic. It's given them something to fight for. I think it was a surface where with the new ball, there was something in it. And, you know, the lengths that Shami hit were superb, almost test lengths. And it did the trick. Absolutely brilliant from him. But then it got a little bit easier, and maybe with the dew, it became just a little bit easier to hit. But as a debut, you can't ask for more than that, can you?
Joy, if you had to pick, you know, if you had to be Ayush Badoni, you said he didn't sleep all night, and he walks into a crazy situation. If he had to make a list of bowlers he wouldn't probably want to face, I reckon Rashid Khan, Lockie Ferguson would be right up there in that list. 150 kmph and greatest leg spinner in the world.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just reading up a little bit about him. Under 19 cricketer, where does he come from? Modern school Barakamba, the same school as Gautam Gambhir and of course Kirti Azad, who played in that famous 1983 World Cup team. So he's got that. Then after that, he goes to which academy? Tariq Sinha's academy, which is Sonnet. And, you know, the Rishabh Pant, Shikhar Dhawan, Akash Chopra, all these guys have come from there. Ashish Nehar, the coach of the opposing team. So somewhere he's Delhi blue blood. If you know, in terms of the Delhi cricket lineages, he's blue blood. The fact of the matter is he was just born at a time when the Under-19 World Cup was not around. So, you know, that's a problem with, you know, if you're born in Nordia, you're not going to get a chance at a World Cup, you know. And he missed out on that. And that's why he's comparatively been under the radar as a player. But in the Delhi circuit, he's known as a big hitter. And he's also known as a fairly decent off spinner. He's actually got a reputation as off spinner. You could see him bowl today as well. And given what, you know, Gautam Gambhir goes with, given the fact that he's got runs, he might just toss the ball to him and say, bowl a couple of overs. You're looking good today. You're looking lucky today.
Yeah, and overall, the team effort. I know we're all excited about the youngster, but let's not forget about Deepak Hooda as well at the other end, Shaun. We were on Cricbuzz Combox together, and you said, yeah, 150, 160 is what they should be looking at. And I was looking at you going, I know he's played the game, but where is he getting those numbers from? They did get there.
Yeah, I think you touched on the fact that balls just getting a little bit dewy, so that often makes it slide on. It can be difficult for the bowlers. But yeah, they just had to put something on the board, and they've given themselves a chance. Hooda was fantastic. Also, obviously, new franchise for him, and he probably won't have a massive part to play in a lot of the RPL. You would think those top 4 would be the ones that churn out the runs quite consistently. So this is an opportunity for him to step up, and he did exactly that. And he would have been helping that youngster through, you know, with the experience that he's got at the different levels. But 55 or 41, that one run better than Badoni. And I think he'd be just a little bit disappointed he got out at that stage. I think he was looking to cut loose, and was that a real need to play that shot? I mean, what did he have? 2 or 3 deliveries left? Just knock it for one and wait. It'll be a lot easier with the ball sliding on. But anyway, in the excitement of the IPL, and when you feel like you're going, sometimes you pull the trigger at the wrong stage. But he's given his team something well. 158, just that one more than what Joy predicted. Well done, Joy. Round of applause. You got it right. Congrats.
Close enough for you.
I mean,
1 score away from winning it, yeah.
If we had a sweepstakes at the halfway point, I had given up on my own score, which was 140. I thought I'd lowballed and I'm doing well. No, at that stage I saw 120, 125 maybe. But I mean, on our WhatsApp groups, and I'm sure many places elsewhere, when Badoni came in, nobody thought he'd last long. Huda at the other end, who sped up? Krunal Pandya. Everyone said, okay, there you go. You're going to have Krunal Pandya, Deepak Huda batting together. People know a little bit about the history of that. But I think there was a lovely touch, Joy, when Krunal Pandya came out to bat, when Deepak Huda was going out. A little bit of glove love.
No, absolutely. I loved it. And, the fact that he was in Baroda, Krunal Pandya was there, nothing worked out. There was this huge altercation. It's an altercation bad enough for him to move to Rajasthan in the next season. But that's one thing that you see. IPL always conquers all. I mean, I remember the first year of the IPL, and you say that, Harbhajan Singh and Andrew Simons at some point will be playing together. I mean, things like that are, unthought of in those days, but that's what happens. And I think that's one of the things that, once you get professional, you get to that level. What I also love about this Lucknow team today is, and they've shown us one thing, that they are a true blue Gautam Gambhir team. They're fighters. You don't count them all to the end. You're 20 out for 4. Everything can happen. Your wickets are down, but somewhere or the other, you'll always find a way. 29 for 4 to 156 in the time that they did is absolutely fantastic. Look at those run rates there. 3.75 in the, when they're in the rebuilding phase from 7 to 10. But look after that, 12.4. And this 12.4, a lot of it is with Rashid Khan bowling as well.
Pretty much all of it with Rashid Khan bowling at that point in time. 62 without loss. They kept their wickets in hand because, Shaun, they also knew that, yes, we didn't know much about Badoni, Gautam Gambhir, and the management did. But they knew that after that, Krunal Pandya, and really not much else to follow. So even though it was a repair job, they had to score the runs knowing that there wasn't anyone big to follow.
Yeah, that's often the difficult situation. I was involved in a lot of that at the bottom order. You come in at 7 and 8 and, well, should we put the trigger? And you look up at the scoreboard and you see the next 2 to come, maybe not. Let's bat for another few overs and keep it going. So that is the case in point. I think that the amazing thing for me is Badoni. He's only played, with the stats they were giving, he's played 1 T20 for Delhi, just 1. And he got 8 or whatever it may be. So it's a massive stage for him to step up to and produce this kind of performance. And he's given his team a chance. Still, I think maybe underdone, particularly with the fact that there's dew and the ball will slide on nicely. They need wickets up front. I think that is essential to make that 158 competitive, but it's something. It's a lot more competitive than what they were looking at after 6 overs.
And after 10. 47 for 4 after 10 overs. This looks like a huge score. But as Shaun said, Joy, if you look at it in the context of what normally happens at the Wankhede, the team chasing would be like 159 any day. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. We'll take it. But I think Lucknow will be fired up by the fact that they've pulled out one from the bag.
Yeah, they will be fired up. I still think it's very difficult for them, especially given the dew. And the fact that unless Avish Khan gets wickets for them up front, they're really going to be up against it. It's not that easy a surface to bowl on, especially if there's so much dew involved. Also, I was wondering whether and I want to ask especially Shaun this, did Gujarat miss a trick by not giving that 4th over to Shami? Because he went for 15 in his last, and by that time, it really was, the batsmen were just swinging and getting whatever they needed to. Could they have given him a 4th up front?
Yeah, we were actually discussing it at the halfway show, and normally I'm a guy who goes for that. I hate it that you just keep overs. If a batter, like for example, Chris Gale's on fire and he's going 6-6-6, you don't say, listen, okay, we'll just rest for 2 overs and then come back. He's influencing the game in a massive way, and that's what I often believe. I did look at it and think to myself that they do have some bowlers. They had Lucky Ferguson, they had Arunaran, where he could come on and still apply that pressure. If they'd had a time where there was no one else to come, if it was only Hardik Pandya, for example, then maybe he's not going to apply that pressure. It is a catch-22, but I'm normally a guy who says, go for it. Bowl your 4. I did it a couple of times in my one-day career where I bowled all 10 out because I was having a good day. And when your rhythm's in as a bowler, and particularly the lengths and the areas he was hitting, it probably could have been worth it. I wasn't overly upset, but looking back, it was probably worth a go.
That's a good piece of trivia, Joy. Actually, I know I've heard Shaun Pollock bowling long spells, but you've actually bowled 10 in a 50-over game.
Yeah, I think I've done it a couple of times. There was a final we played in Joburg, I remember clearly, where I think I got a 5 but it was a reduced game. I think it was like 43 overs or something, and I also did a full spell of 8 or 9, whatever you were allowed to bowl. But yeah, there were a couple of times where I ran with it, and it worked out for us.
Yeah, the only other person I think of, someone like a Syed Russell from Bangladesh, a couple of these little left-arm trundlers, maybe didn't put that much effort in. But yeah, I'm sure. I know people on commentary were suggesting that Shami sort of bowled the 4 overs. And in hindsight, he probably should have, because they also had Tewatia Joy to go to. So there was backup in terms of the rest of your stack of bowling.
Yeah, they had enough backup. I mean, they could play around with the bowling. I think, once you've got your foot in the throat, you try not to get off. If somebody gets their foot off the throat, it's because they bat exceptionally. And I think they batted really well, but I think Gujarat let off the pressure as well. They did not keep that, foot on the throat as well as you think a Gujarat can, given the bowling attack they have. That's my point.
They also let a few through the legs. They also had a couple of catches dropped, despite a brilliant catch from Gill. Inspire enough confidence, Shaun, to knock this off, or could Lucknow rattle them?
Yeah, I think the techniques of the two up front, Wade won't be too concerned about pace and bounce and the ball nipping around. That's sort of what he's grown up with. Shubman Gill has got a nice technique. I just like the mix there at the bottom. You got Pandya, Miller, Tewatia, and even Rashid Khan. Rashid Khan is underrated, with the bat in hand. So those 4 at the back end of a game, I think that batting is too strong. And when you look at the bowling of the opposition, I'm not really seeing how they put them under immense pressure.
Yeah, if you have a look at this, we know the Gujarat bowling was there. It could inspire something, a match-winning spell from someone. Dushmanta Chamira is there and thereabouts. Avish Khan has done a little bit. So, Joy, if you had to pick one possible bowler, I don't know if there's enough for Ravi Bishnoi on the surface, but given a little bit of help up front, is Avish Khan your man?
Totally. Avish Khan's my man. Because if you're not going to, once the ball's going to get wet, it's not going to do very much. It's the first couple of overs that's crucial. They need early breakthroughs. Shubman is vulnerable up front. He's the kind of guy who is classical, but does give you opportunities up front. They need Avish Khan and Mohsin Khan, who's a left-arm bowler. He can bring it back a bit. Don't be surprised if he's going to open the bowling attack, and you could see interesting things happening there as well.
Yeah, well, at the moment, it's the overseas player, the Sri Lankan Dushmanta Chamira, who is opening up to Shubman Gill. And we might have an early wicket to talk about. And we do have an early wicket to talk about. We had it on the earlier show. And I think let's just pause for a moment, because Shubman Gill is gone for a duck, just like KL Rahul was for Gujarat. And he got 4 leg byes to start with, and then hitting it up in the air, apparently unnecessarily, Shaun. And Dushmanta Chamira has an early wicket. How much is that going to help them?
Yeah, huge. I mean, he's the overseas guy, so he's been in these situations as well. You do sometimes, when you sit in the dugout, you just go to your team and say, listen, 2 overs, just absorb. Just leave balls, play nicely, and then we see it gets a lot easier. But sometimes the bowlers don't allow you. I mean, we can't see the delivery here as we chat, but it could have been a good one, much like Shami's were.
Yeah, well, we started the show talking about a slap of Smith, of course, referring to Odean Smith. But here we've had a good result at the end. Deepak Hooda takes the catch. Who's the first man to reach him to celebrate the catch? Krunal Pandya. Big blow for Lucknow Supergiant. They only have 158 to defend, and they are well on their way with the wicket first up. We'll see where they stand in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. For now, that's all on Cricbuzz Live.